Hey everybody, it's Brooke with the Buttered Home and welcome to my messy kitchen. Today we have a Southern classic to share with you. We're going to show you how to make an easy and delicious and a little different squash casserole. Stay tuned. All right, let's make this squash casserole. Ahead of time, I have taken 4 cups of yellow squash that I've peeled and I cooked them in my Instant Pot for probably like 4 minutes. And now I've drained them, gotten all the water out, and I'm gonna mash them real well with a potato masher. You can also use a hand mixer here to get them all good and broken down. So to the cooled, drained, mashed squash, I'm adding 3 eggs that are going to be lightly beaten. Now I have a half a cup of diced onion. You can use yellow onion or red onion. The best onion to use is what you have on hand. My recipe calls for yellow because it kind of mixes in, but I'm using red because that's what I had. Now to that we're going to add in 1/4 cup of buttermilk, salt and pepper to taste. I tend to err on the low side of salt and pepper here because you never know who has dietary restrictions. So I do about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. People can always season it more per their serving if they wish. Now I add in some dried parsley, probably about a teaspoon and a half of that, because I love the pop of color that it gives. And then I take some of the crackers that we're going to put on the top, half a sleeve, and I crush them up and put them in the squash casserole. This does a couple of things. It gives it an unexpected texture, and it also tends to soak up any of that water that might not otherwise come out. This recipe calls for anywhere from a 1/2 cup to a cup of cheddar cheese, and we put about half of what we're going to use in the casserole as well. Cheesy squash casserole is fine. So now we take a casserole dish. I'm using a 2-quart here and lightly spray it with cooking spray and pop that right in. Spread it out in a nice even layer, and then we're going to get our topping ready. We're going to take the other half of that sleeve of crackers, and you can put them in a Ziploc bag or crush them, but I don't know why you would. Just use your hands. They crush really easily. I'm taking a whole stack and crushing them. If they're not all uniform, well, that keeps life interesting. Makes it different, just like us. Now we add in our melted butter, about 1/4 cup, and the other half of our cheese. That butter now goes in to kind of get all of that butter, cracker, and cheese all nice and yummy. And we will sprinkle that over the top, covering the top with it. Our oven is preheated to 375 degrees, and this will go in uncovered for about an hour until the top is nice and brown and bubbly. Okay, we're back. We finished about an hour cook time. It got good and browned on the top, so I went ahead and took it out just a little bit early. I'm always in a hurry whenever I'm making videos, so it's probably a little bit earlier than it should have been, but it doesn't, it doesn't matter. It still continues to cook for a little while whenever you let it cool, and we did let it come to room temperature, but I just want to kind of take it apart and show you just, and it's still really hot. It's good and firm. Because we cooked that squash and drained it off and then mashed it really well, you're not left with a watery bottom. And that's really where the difference is made. And the components that we added by putting a little bit of those crackers in there along with the cheese also help it not be watery. A lot of times whenever you cook squash or zucchini like this, it can give off a lot of water. And that's where a lot of people get frustrated with their squash casserole. So our little different trick by putting a half a sleeve of those crackers in there helps that. So let's give it a taste. And it's still really hot. Really hot. That is so good. So good. That's like my favorite thing ever. I love squash any way you make it, but this squash casserole, it just tastes like home to me. It just does. You add in all those delicious components with it, like the onion. Onion and squash really do complement one another. And then you add the cheese and the crackers and give it that crunchy top. And it's like two different textures. You have a creamy, savory casserole with a crunchy, little salty top to it. And it's like the perfect Southern comfort food. This recipe, like all of our others, can be found over at thebutteredhome.com for free. With plenty of room in the margins, you can print it out and make notes and add to or take away from this and make this recipe your own. That's what we specialize in here at the Buttered Home, is getting you back in the kitchen and falling in love with cooking, either for the first time or the 500th time. We just want to get you cooking, and we'd love to share some of our wonderful Southern favorites with you in order to be able to do that. So make sure you're following us on all of our social channels. We have a really good time and we want you wherever we are. And if you're not already, make sure that you're following us over at YouTube. You can find us by searching The Buttered Home. And when you do find us, hit that subscribe button so that you can be notified whenever we drop new videos like this one, if you ding the bell. So ding the bell. Oh, I'm a mess, and it's because I'm like waiting to go off camera and finish eating a squash casserole. So we sure hope that you'll make this and love it as much as we do. And as always, from the Buttered Home to your home, we sure love y'all. Bye.